Oh, New Yorker bagel.
Oh,
sorry.
see, you fucking asshole. Hello and welcome to Unrelenting episode number 127. I am Darren O'Neill and he is Gene. I always like to see
how do you keep track of all those episodes?
Every time I save the audio file, the number just goes up. And then what I do for the next one is I just open up the last one and then just delete the audio and change the number by 1.
Oh, wow.
It's a decent system. It's not quite automated, but it's a fairly easy way to make sure you keep the numbers. Every now and then you'll add a 0 or something weird like that. You're like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, if Buzzsprout didn't remember that shit and tell me, I wouldn't know.
And I have text files for most of the shows that I do the same thing. If I have notes, of course, for this show, there's really the only notes that there would be if there were any donations. And since there aren't a lot of times, I could go 4 or 5 shows without updating the notes file. But Planet Rage, always updated. Random Thoughts, always updated. Grumpy Old Ben's, when it's going, is always updated. But this, now, it's a different beast.
Sure is.
We were trying to get together a crowd. Well, interest. Want to see what the interest is. And you're no longer on the Fediverse, man. We need to get you on planetrage.social so that way you can be part of the Fedi.
No, don't need to be.
Because even your co-host, dude named Ben answered. Because Adam brought it up again in the show yesterday that people had talked about doing a mega no agenda con. So like a mega meetup kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I had talked about that many times in the past, and then it kind of dropped off. And I'm like, well, if it was going to be done, you'd have to gauge the interest and plan it. It's not something you could plan like a month out, or I don't even think 6 months out. I think you have to go like a year out.
A year? Okay.
To get everybody's schedules in sync and figure out how many people would be coming in. Because, if you could do Comic-Con and those kind of things, I can see that you would have a few different things going on at the same time, but it would also then question 2 main things. One, I'm pretty sure if there was a crowd coming, the Podfather would come in. I don't know if we would get JCD out of his house. But otherwise, I was like, well, the podcasters that are in the periphery, and that's why I was going through the list, and I sent that to everybody on the Fedi that was there, which was almost all the podcasters on the stream except you, including your buddy dude named Ben. And I'm like, hey, if we did this, who would be interested in doing it? And dude named Ben said he'd be interested in coming into Chirac. So I'm figuring if he would come in, you would probably come in. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Doesn't he like to leave Texas?
Well, not unless somebody else is paying for it. He doesn't.
NetNet says you did it twice in Nashville. No, nobody has done this, NetNet. I am talking hotel. I am talking convention room. I am talking panels. I am talking merchandise. I am talking excitement.
Oh, well, yeah, nobody's interested in that.
Nobody's interested in excitement.
I think that if it were to happen, there are 2 likely cities for it. One is Washington, D.C., because that's where most listeners live. 2 is the peripheries, let's say, of San Francisco, because it's the only way you get JCD to show up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. See, if I'm the one spearheading this, it's going to be in Tinley Park, Illinois, which is in the Chicago suburbs, where there's plenty of convention space. Very convenient for trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yeah, no one wants to go there, dude.
Nobody wants to go anywhere, but it's central.
No, it's not central. It's the middle of nowhere.
I don't think you know what the middle of nowhere is.
It's just a straight shot from here up north.
Right?
Yeah.
Straight shot. Not middle. See, that would make you in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we are exactly nowhere. So you are in the middle of nowhere.
No, I'm south of nowhere. Thank you very much.
But that was
the other issue with making it a year out is we don't know what the passport situation is going to be between Texas and you guys by a year.
I don't have a real ID, so I have to have it in Chicago. It's the only way I can show up.
Oh, and there it is. That makes total sense.
Well, and let's also be honest. I do more hours on the No Agenda stream than anybody.
Oh, that's absolutely the case. You should call it No Agenda Con.
I should call it Darren Ocon featuring No Agenda.
That actually is even funnier.
Yeah. I think that would be hilarious. Big graphics, big pictures of me like Chairman Mao or something like that. Like Kim Jong-un just all over the place. That'd be fun. But Billy Bones, from the walk through the mine, he said he'd be all in on it. Bandrew said he'd come in. Larry said he would come in. So really, this could turn out to be a Darren Ocon. If you and Larry came in, we would just have to get Bemrose in.
It is Darren Ocon. That's what you just said.
And it would be awesome.
Darren Ocon.
Darren Ocon. It's a con. No, wait. Yes, it is.
It's an Ocon, goddammit.
It's all a big con. But it's like
Darren Ocon.
And I agree with what Adam said on No Agenda yesterday. Is when people talk about this, everybody wants them to do a live No Agenda, and we understand that wouldn't work because No Agenda is not really a show that would
totally do it live
with an audience. No, you could do a show they could release on the stream. They couldn't
I've seen
do
the
a
Prairie
normal
Home
No
Companion
Agenda
live.
show.
I know how it works,
but you wouldn't be a normal No Agenda. What you would have is a supplemental show where people could then interact, ask questions, do all that kind of a thing.
Oh, God, no. You don't have the audience asking questions.
Oh, yeah,
you have the audience paying for tickets.
Well, that too. But you see, now you're understanding, Gene. You pay for tickets, one ticket to get in the door. You pay for another ticket if you want to ask questions. And 3, yet another ticket if you even want to shake Sir Bemrose's hand.
Oh, yeah, right. Good luck on that.
That's another ticket entirely.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of tickets.
He charges in sushi.
Well, of course, if you bring him a plate of sushi, he will sign your grumpy old Ben's bathrobe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck.
I am just testing the waters. And oddly enough,
see how it goes.
There were a decent amount of podcasters interested, which I think would be necessary to make it happen.
I would propose that you first do a planning meeting in person and get a feel for how many people actually would show up from the hosts, because my guess is 1.
A planning meeting of hosts, which
people are casually saying, "Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll fly out to Chicago. Let's do this."
Hey, you're saying Sir Spencer and Dame DeLorean are not telling the truth? Are you saying Billy
it's
Bones?
easy to say? Yeah. That's a great idea. I love it. Do it. I'll show up. Oh, we had a thing come up. I could make it. Sorry.
Right. You got to have this is where the contracts come in and.
Oh, the contracts. Yes. Yes. The contracts.
By penalty of death.
Right. Well, it's a good thing you're picking up travel, so that's good.
Nobody's going to Kearney, Nebraska, net. He's like, that is the most central place in the country. No, Chicago is. Believe it or not.
Kansas City is really.
But we have people that come out of Canada, so this is where Chicago becomes way more central.
No,
if you include our Canadian brethren.
Who's that?
Well, Cold Acid, but he said he couldn't come the first year, but he's totally in on the next year.
There you go. There's a man telling the truth right there.
There's Carolyn Blaney. She might come in. Who knows?
Yes.
That says Detroit would be safer than Chicago. Yeah, the city itself, I would agree, which is, again, why I would say Tinley Park, Illinois, the suburbs of Chicago, no crime problems yet. I mean, in a year, you never know. It all depends who's president.
I applaud your enthusiasm.
Well, I didn't say I was all that enthusiastic. I just said I was floating the idea.
You're more enthusiastic than other people. So
I was floating the idea and got more positives than I was expecting.
And by positive, do you mean people just saying, yeah, good idea?
Well, I believe Larry because, Larry wouldn't lie. and I believe Bandrew for the same reason. Now, it would all depend on a variety of other things. He does not tell anyone. He's smart. He does not use his real name.
He probably lives in Chicago.
No, okay. No, if he did, I'm sure I would have heard that. I would hope. Because I'd be like, Bandrew, let's go hang out, man. Let's go look at microphones, man. Let's just geek out on microphones.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have his address, to be fair, but he does not tell anybody where he is located. He doesn't use his real name.
Right.
He was the smart one getting into podcasting going, no, I'm not going to use my real name.
You know, everybody did that except for you.
I know. And Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak.
Okay, guys that brought an audience used the name that they used to bring an audience. You have no idea what John or Adam's real names are.
Sir Bembro says, I noticed you didn't invite Magos. Well, that's true. I
don't know what that is.
He's a guy on the stream. It's the one liberal show on the stream that Bemrose runs. And the funny thing is he lives in the Chicago area, but the guy, sure, he's welcome to buy a ticket. But I mean, if I'm guessing we would just have to, might have to drop him from the stream before then, just to be fair.
I love your concept of having panels.
Well, I don't know. If
maybe autograph signing
panels,
booths as well.
No, kissing booths for Eugene, so all the women can come by and pet the beard. If you want to pet the beard, totally a different ticket if you want to pet the beard.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not splitting that take.
I think there could be, if the Podfather came, definitely he would have to have a panel, because that would be a thing that people do at cons. They go, they ask questions, blah, blah. But I also think if you do have Sir Spencer and Dame DeLorean and maybe our buddy Boobury and Lavish and the other podcasters, how many people do you think
live in that area that would show up to this thing?
That's the question. There were how many people were at the Nashville meetup? Was there like 100 or something?
Yeah.
That was just for a meetup
for
people that wanted to show up and have some hot dogs in the park.
Yeah. The Austin one that he did way back when, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, where dude named Ben claims to have met me. I think he's lying.
You have a different origin story with dude named Ben than he has with you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember meeting him. In fact, I don't think we've ever met.
But he thinks you have.
But he thinks we have.
Interesting. Yeah. So he's either psychotic or you are.
Or he's a super fan.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
And he just was begging to do a show with you. And he was like, just need to get on the podcasting with Gene. That's how the Texans talk, right?
Yeah. Yes, John Dvorak. That's how Texans talk. So, Texas accent like this. All you got to do is hold your teeth together and then you talk just like a Texan.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time John was in Texas actually, he did come down for Adam's wedding. I was going to say it was probably Ike was president, but no, he did come down for Adam's wedding for that.
All I see down here are a bunch of steers and queers, boys.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not be surprised if, and that's the beauty of this, which is I don't know the best way to gauge real interest. You bring up a good point, because I would not be surprised if 20 people showed up, and I also wouldn't be surprised if 2,000 people showed up.
Oh, you're insane.
Of course I'm insane, but I don't really know. I mean, we have
bigger towns with real audiences have smaller number of people showing up.
Bigger towns?
Yeah.
Bigger podcasts? What do you?
No, bigger cities. Like Nashville and Austin.
Well, this Chicago is actually bigger.
That's not Chicago. You're not in Chicago. It's not in Chicago. You can't say Chicago. It's not a suburb of Chicago. It is
a suburb of Chicago.
It's 100 miles away.
No, it's not 100 miles away.
But it might as well be.
It's like
you're not
35 minutes away from the. If you want to
go.
How
long is the Uber ride from O'Hare to your house?
Like 35 minutes.
Okay, how about without lying?
No, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
That is about it. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could have it in Rosemount, which is where O'Hare is. But we're about 35 minutes from both Midway or O'Hare.
No one flies into Midway.
Yeah, they do. People do fly into Midway. If you're coming Southwest, especially.
Yes, no one flies Southwest, first of all.
Nobody at all. It's a horrible
No.
airline, but they do. They fly it.
It's not a real airline, dude. Nobody flies Southwest.
It is one of
it's
the
just
best
the thing you see commercials for.
It's one of the best landings in all of America. It is one of the shortest runways for a major airport anywhere. And the plane basically hits the ground and hits the brakes. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I know. I've been there, but it's a this is not where I would do an event. Like I said, I would do it in Washington, D.C., so it'd be convenient for people. They could just drive there and you'd have a decent audience showing up.
Bemrose is way more convenient for Washington, D.C. than Chicago, that he would have to pass through to get to Washington, D.C., which was another like 10 hours away.
Or in San Francisco.
Because you want free needles and poop?
No, be on the outskirts of San Francisco. Just a mere half hour, a mere 35 minutes from the airport.
It's not a major city then.
From SFX.
Gene, take the B12, man.
Uh-huh.
You need the B12.
Nah, it's a bad idea, dude. I don't like it.
It's all a bad idea. But that's
it's just the location. Interest. I think the event idea is not a bad idea. I think it kind of happened. I think the first time Adam did an event, I think other podcasters showed up and there were people talking to other podcasters, just not Dame Ben, because I don't think he was there. But I don't think that I don't think that like 2 hours away from Chicago makes sense for this event.
I don't think you know how much 2 hours away is because
2 hours away is about 20 miles.
You have no idea. I mean, again, if you come in during rush hour, it could be it could be bad, but nobody really wants to come in during rush hour.
Exactly. Nobody wants to come in. You're totally right on that.
Everybody wants to come into the beautiful city of Chicago. Sir Spencer wanted to come in just to go see the.
Well, let's do it in Chicago then. If you're talking about Chicago, Chicago.
That's even further for you. So that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to go into the city limits because you know what everything is. It costs more as well.
Exactly.
Oh, it would be beautiful. Let's go get a hotel right on the lake so we can pay like $800 a night. That would be great. People would love it.
I don't know. I think they're still holding my room.
Are you filling out the if you're going to pay for the place for the ballroom? Because it's probably going to be about 10 times as much down there.
I think they're desperate, dude. Not much happening in that city these days.
There's rioting. There's looting.
Exactly.
There's all sorts of fun stuff going on.
You know, back in my day, I used to stay on Wacker Drive.
You would walk and you would smell the...
It was a chocolate. It was great. I'd stay on the Executive Plaza on Wacker Drive on the 32nd floor. I had the windows facing the river so I could see all the little people walking around.
Well,
because you're far away.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the smell was perfect. I would walk out there. I would walk by the House of Blues. I'd smell that beautiful Chicago chocolatey air. I mean, what the hell happened, dude? What happened to that city?
All of the candy makers have left, I believe. There were a few that were around for a while. And there was one that was a chocolatier down in that area. So it might have been the one.
Mm-hmm.
And they made the chocolate for all of the schools that would like go sell candy bars to raise money, for their field trip. This was the company that did that. They were on right off the lake. They were right off the Chicago River, I think, there for like 100 and something years. They finally had to close.
Yeah.
And now casinos will be moving in. Nothing to worry about. What could go wrong?
Oh, casinos. Oh, well, what about prostitution? When's that moving on?
Well, that's always been there. Now with the casinos,
only on the lower level of Wacker Drive, not on the upper level of Wacker Drive. Come on, man.
That's where the discount prostitutes were. That's when you could. That's when you could pop into the Billy Goat, get a burger, and then get a meth addicted prostitute on your way out.
And that's right.
But the burgers were good. I would say avoid the prostitutes.
Oh, okay. You didn't like the prostitutes so much.
The quality just wasn't there.
Yeah.
But the burgers at the Billy Goat. I mean, that's a real place. People don't even know what that is
anymore. What's that one dude's restaurant that's over by in that area?
That one guy's restaurant that's over by there.
Yeah.
The one guy.
Yeah.
What kind of? There are plenty of
He's
restaurants.
like a baseball guy or something.
Oh, Harry Carey's.
Harry Carey's. Yeah, I'd walk by Harry Carey's. Late at night, they'd still be open.
Well, of course, because Harry was a party animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The last Harry Carey's I was at was in Arizona back in 90, maybe 91, when I went down with a buddy to go see the Paul Blue Demons play in the NCAA tournament. It's like one of the last times they ever made the NCAA tournament. So it was nice that we went.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was the last time, but it was fun being in Harry Carey's. It was a great trip. They lost immediately. But still, we were in Phoenix, so it was fun.
Mm.
Oh, Alinea, there you can go there. That's a nice upscale restaurant. Net. That would be perfect for a meetup if Gene's paying. Come on down, get some really expensive food. Some good
What's
food.
the place called?
Alinea. A-L, I don't know if there's two L's or one, I-N-E-A. That is one of the more Michelin star type places.
If we were going to do it in Chicago, I'd want to do it like on Navy Pier or something.
Oh, yeah. Let's do Navy. Let's have the meetup on the Ferris wheel.
Well, no, they've got space you can rent on Navy Pier, convention space.
Yeah, they do. I crashed the press conference there when they announced the Joliet Super Speedway that they don't use anymore. We didn't know. My buddy Jeff and we saw that, hey, they're doing a news conference and they were talking big time about Navy Pier, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And they said where and when. So we showed up.
Yeah.
And we were like two of the only people that weren't the press that showed up.
Oh, they have a Billy Goats on Navy Pier? I didn't know that.
I'm sure they do now, yeah.
They do. They got a Billy Goat and they got Harry Carey's on Navy Pier.
Because it's the big, if you said what you really love is the touristy type things. You're like, bring me to the tourist traps and I will spend my money.
Well, no, it's just, there's usually more police action there.
Yeah, Sir Bemrose, it does seem like Gene is offering to fund everything. That's what I'm taking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this maybe can be taken as an oral contract. We have plenty of listeners, so that would be, we have plenty of people who are witnessing said contract.
Yeah. How many listeners you got right now?
3, 4.
There's your audience for this event. Congratulations.
No, that most of them aren't going to show up. I tell you. No.
Okay, listeners, poll. How many of you listeners right now are going to show up and you're willing to buy a ticket using PayPal right now? We're going to start selling them by the end of the show.
Would come to Chicago. 63 people on the stream right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people they're dropping off now that you're asking for money, Gene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to be very careful about that. But like I said, this was just the first round, which was okay. If it's going to be a no agenda, it's going to be more a no agenda stream con, because just no agenda is not that you couldn't bring enough people in, but then it would just be a big meetup. So I think you would have to bring in the other podcasters that are in the no agenda sphere. NetNet said he would show up. It's only 4.5 hours to Chicago. I hope it's dark and you're wearing sunglasses when you start coming in too.
4.5 hours, really?
Well, for him driving from fucking Detroit.
Or is he in Detroit?
Yes. That's where NetNet is. He also says he met you when dude named Ben did, and you offered to fund his startup. I don't know if that's true. You might want to start taking more of that B12, Gene, or taking better notes. Cottongen says it's about 20 hours to Chicago, but he would consider it because of the event. See, I'm telling you, I think this could be more people than I'm guessing or you're guessing. And there's no way to really know until you kind of put together a plan, see which people that would be the podcasters that would want to show up, including, of course, the Podfather and JCD, and then really get a feel from the producers on if they would be interested. I think it could be as we wanted to do here with Unrelenting, and of course Dale and No Beret, who got there the creative way, are the only oligarchs. We're always like, we want to do an oligarch meal. Well, we could put together a nice Dames and Knights event For
I mean,
no
I'm up
agenda.
for a meal, but
You always are.
yeah.
Have you ordered your food for today just as a sidetrack, just to make sure you don't go hungry?
I did need to.
No.
I need to order groceries. I noticed I only have one tea left.
Oh my goodness! But that's what a gallon, 5-gallon jug.
Yeah, it's a fun. No,
They come in like the watered things. Gene just doesn't have he has the water in a 5-gallon and then a tea in a 5-gallon jug.
If somebody did that, I may be tempted to buy one of those machines, but no one does that.
I wonder why.
Probably because the tea would go bad.
Well, I mean, would it as fast as you drink it? I mean, there is a shelf life.
5 gallons? Hell yeah. Look,
you would
may
have to
drink
refrigerate. So it would have to be a refrigerated 5-gallon. But
and
that's not that hard.
You'd have to ship refrigerated 5 gallons. That's the hard part.
Yeah, true.
Sure, the machine can do that once it's there, but unlike you, where you go to your grocery store and they just have the tea sitting out without refrigeration.
See, I just buy the tea bags and I put them in a thing, and then the tea.
Well, yeah, you could do it that way. I mean, you could probably do that for anywhere. But even that, like, if you just have tea bags will mold over. Everybody can do an experiment very easily. Leave a used tea bag out, sitting on your counter for 3 days, and see what it looks like.
Oh, I'm sure it will grow all sorts of funky things.
All kinds of critters, because it's got a lot of nutrients and minerals in there.
Now, when it's in the water in a refrigerator that is at 34 to 35 degrees, that is not really a problem unless you would leave that in there for an extreme.
But still, yeah, like you can have a open tea in the fridge for a few days, but you probably still don't want to leave it even in the fridge for more than a week and a half, because something will start growing in there.
Well, this is where when you see things like almond milk, which I usually buy an almond milk because I never know. Every now and then I'm going to want cereal, and the almond milk, when it's unopened, can sit there for like a month and a half. The dates on them are usually weeks out. But they say, once it's open, use within 7 days. I'm like, that seems a little quick, doesn't it?
Nope. That's about right.
Again, if it's at 30 some odd degrees, I mean, it's got to be different depending on how you're storing it.
Here's the thing. Anything that has sugar in it, up to a certain percentage sugar, where it goes the other way, but anything that has sugar in it has food for bacteria. And the only thing bacteria really need to reproduce is a food source. So now, if you have too much sugar, like honey, for example, you can leave that sitting out indefinitely because no bacteria will grow on there. That's too much sugar.
But the damn stuff always hardens up and it pisses me off. And I know you can like re-warm it up, but
you can warm it up. You can, if you're talking about like a mostly empty honey bottle,
well,
and you can't get the rest of it.
Well, I've had some that was almost a full bottle that sat there long enough where it started crystallizing.
It shouldn't do that.
That's not good honey, probably.
That's not good honey. Yeah, exactly. But you can always warm it up, like you said. But if it's like a half empty one that's starting to crystallize, which will happen sometimes, then it's a good thing to use to make a new drink with, new food drink, whatever you want to call it. Basically, just take some lemons that you got left over from drinking a blended lemon every day.
Right, you should. I haven't done that in so long, man.
Oh, really? Do you miss it?
Kind of. I mean, it
should get used to it when you do it daily. Yeah. But you take a lemon and then cut it up, put it in there with the honey, with all the lemon juice. You don't need to add any water, just lemon juice and honey.
It'll just corrode right through.
And then it'll corrode through the honey and they'll mix together. And you'll have very tasty but slightly lemony flavored kind of a sweet concoction that you can either use hot or dilute with carbonated beverage like soda, and then drink cold in the summer as well. But that's a very typical thing to do with kind of leftover honey jars, is to put lemon in there.
Here's the strategy. Sir Gene's semi-sweet, semi-tart concoction. Can you just see the packaging now? It'll have the character of you with the beard going all the way down,
holding the can in my right hand.
Exactly.
You get your AI working on this. Let's get this done.
Big smile on your face. Well, you pointed out you sent me something on the Flux, and I'd been playing around with that over on. There's a site Tensor TENSOR.art, and there's others where you just put in what you wanted to make. And the detail is getting so crazy good that it's even damn good with text. So if you want to make somebody with a saying on their shirt, it will do that 99% of the time correct, maybe 95%.
That's great.
And the details that you're getting, although it does seem that the faces that it produces are way more limited. I know they have taken out, allegedly, all of the celebrity and political right. So if you now go in and say you want something that looks like Scarlett Johansson, then it's like, you get nothing like Scarlett Johansson.
What good is it if it's can't make Scarlett?
Well, see, but it can because of the LoRa's, which people then go train, which this is the beauty of this. There is the main checkpoint, they call it. So this is the main AI that you're using. And they have taken all of that out. But all of these AIs, you can have a lower level thing. So it'll create the image, simplifying this quite a bit, but that'll create the image with the face you don't want. And the thing you add below it could be, well, look for the face and then put in Scarlett Johansson. And people train that. You go look on the sites where this is available, and it's everybody from Taylor Swift to Scarlett Johansson to the Lisa Welchel. Welchel? Was it the girl that played on The Facts of Life, that played Blair Warner on The Facts of Life? People are, anybody that you want to make, as long as you have photographs of the person, you can then create one of these things to do the face, and the quality that these things are kicking out. Sure, 1 out of every 5 or 1 out of every 10, you're probably going to have the extra fingers or an extra limb. So it's going to take a little time, but when it gets it right, it looks so much more realistic than the last iteration of the Stable Diffusion. And I think it's because the plasticky look is gone. It looks way more the way photographs look. Skin texture is much better, where everybody doesn't look like they've been completely made up and all of the blemishes taken away.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty cool, man.
It's bizarre.
So why don't you just run this thing at home?
Well, I need to get a lot of people to buy into a con where they send me a lot of money.
Oh,
so I can buy a nice video.
What I found is these things are much better at doing Asian chicks.
Well, this is because way more Asian guys are programming them to get what they want.
And they're like busty Asian chicks.
It's amazing too. I mean, I've not been over to Asia, so I don't know. I haven't been through China or Japan lately.
Well, you're going to come out for the con that Adam's having in Asia, aren't you?
Sure. I mean, if it's in China, I mean, we're going to go to Beijing, the first Beijing con.
The Baycon.
The big show in Beijing, presented by the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, they love the No Agenda show out there. That's like an official source of information.
They're the ones sending in the donations. They're triggering with those letters that are being read. It'll be the Chi-Con. That's right.
The Chi-Con.
Yeah.
The Chi-Con.
He said XI, but yeah, it's
the
Chi-Con.
The Chi-Con. Yeah.
You never know. That could be good. Lots of babes at the Chi-Con.
Yeah. Just no Winnie the Pooh. That's all.
Well, now it's like you don't even have to worry about trademark or copyright on that. You could just go do whatever you want with Winnie the Pooh. Finally fell out of the protection.
You could do 100 free images daily on this thing.
Yeah. Well, that is for
Tensor.art.
The Tensor one It's not really 100 for the Flux because that takes a little bit more power, but I think it still ends up being like 60 free unless you pay them, which I have not. Because why would you? You could just get multiple accounts.
Well, why would you indeed?
Just saying. And I mean, I have thought about it. I'm still going back and forth because the more I deal with Windows and the more shit they're adding with the advertising, the more I want to get off of Windows. But
you should get a Mac.
They're still not really optimized yet, though, for the things like the AI artwork. So although they have to be getting there, they keep throwing all these AI chips in the Macs.
Hey, I think somebody sent in some sats, but I believe it's below the minimum sat requirement amount.
Which is why it didn't go pew pew.
Exactly.
Oh, but it is still Comic Strip Blogger. I mean, we can say hi.
Well, we can wait till he sends more.
For the 3330s. He just wants you to go to csb.lol, and that's a website. So you can add the www, but you don't have to. Comic Strip Blogger. You don't have to do that. Yeah, and that means fuck, I learned.
That's right.
Only CSB. Only CSB. See, but that's it. With the online stuff works pretty well.
Yeah.
Doing the AI, and it comes down to there are places which I was unaware until recently. And you start talking about it last week with basically...
you just have to put in the word sexy model and it'll create all kinds of fun images.
Really? That's what you're getting now? Gene's like, let me try this while doing the show.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just...
But you figure if you can rent a GPU to play video games, you can, of course, rent a GPU anytime you want to play with Stable Diffusion. But there's so much out there now. It gets confusing on how to set it up. It's nice to just go someplace and be like, we figured it out. Here's what you need. But the quality that you can get there. So, I mean, you could just, Gene's like, give me short bearded man with beard down to his belly eating a sushi while drinking iced tea while podcasting. And then it's like, there it is. There's a new album art.
Get your damn camera out of my house.
Sorry. I was using the new, I was doing some Van Eck freaking. We're just getting your monitors are being monitored.
Yeah, right.
And I was not weirded out because I had heard about
it does
this.
Great DALL-E.
Does it?
Yeah.
I had first heard on... I think it was on No Agenda, although it could have been Grumpy Old Ben's. Those shows are so much alike.
They really are.
That broke the story that if you had set Wi-Fi items in your house, so if, again, you have an Amazon device sitting somewhere and these things don't move within your house. They're, my Keurig that wants to have a Wi-Fi signal, great. Xfinity is now offering the service that you can pay extra for, where they will let you know when they detect movement in your house using the Wi-Fi signal.
Wi-Fi, yeah. I've seen that video a long time ago. There's a guy that did his PhD on this topic, and they're basically using the Wi-Fi connection as the transmitter. And then you can actually see through walls from the outside. So they were talking about police and military applications of this technology. So you can see into people's houses prior to entering them illegally. And it works really well. It's surprisingly well, given that you're using just commercial Wi-Fi. But because the Wi-Fi is trying to send out they're using multiple antennas to try and get a good signal for your Wi-Fi throughout the house. This also creates a very good source of energy in that range that's transmitted, and then is able to detect anything that blocks it. So you can absolutely do that. And I think it was Bemrose that talked about it.
Yeah, he said
from the shows that you mentioned
about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Before it was, I think it may have been just starting to be turned into a service by a router company at the time, which was like, well, especially if you had a mesh router.
Yeah.
Because the way a mesh router works, you put them around the house and they all communicate. But the fact that Xfinity has gotten to the point to where, well, we don't even need special hardware. We will use all of the Wi-Fi devices you have in your home. And what they do is they will monitor when they're your Wi-Fi hotspot. They can monitor that Amazon device in the next room. And every time that signal fades and then comes back, well, they're assuming somebody walked into the beam, if you will.
Right. Yep.
And they're like, well, we can tell you if somebody's moving around your house, which could be an interesting service if you're not home. Although your snake,
I mean, it's a neat service, but if you actually see the images that they're able to generate, that's way more impressive.
Really? So they're just able to give you a guesstimate on like how large the object moving is?
Oh, no. It's a full on X-ray image of your house.
I don't understand how that could even be possible.
Like you could see all the furniture, you could see people walking around, you could see everything in there.
That's bizarre.
Guns.
Well, this is why you make your guns into the shape of something fun. You know, you add some extra metal to it. So it's like, oh no, that's not a gun. That's an umbrella.
That's a cannon. That's not a gun. That's a cannon.
That looks like a nuclear warhead, sir.
Speaking of not guns, did you happen to catch the decision by the Massachusetts Supreme Court relating to firearms?
I think so. I saw a headline. It was good for the gun owners. I know.
Maybe they ruled that switchblade knives fall under the definition of arms and therefore are protected by the Second Amendment and therefore cannot be banned in the state of Massachusetts. And it's ironic because the state does have gun bans. And it's not a particularly gun-friendly state, but it appears that given this ruling from the Massachusetts Supreme Court, that there'll be other lawsuits that'll get reversed out, and maybe Massachusetts will end up having much better gun laws as a result of this. But it's interesting that the first ruling that this court kind of applied it to is in saying that that knives are guaranteed protection under the Second Amendment.
Well, everybody had always, for some reason, just assumed that arms meant firearms, but
yeah, probably because they have the word arms in their name.
They're like, that's why, man.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. Like before firearms existed, the term arms referred to sabers and all kinds of pokey and pointy and sharp things.
So you have to add those all back in.
Yeah.
Pretty much if you could use something to pummel somebody, it should be guaranteed that you could have it.
Yeah. If a baseball bat, if it happens to be in an apartment in, New York or Chicago, is probably an arm.
Yeah. I mean, you need those outside of Denver now that the Venezuelan gangs have taken over the apartment buildings.
Oh, yes. I'm very curious to see what the new flag of Colorado looks like.
Uh-huh. Nothing to see here.
Because we saw in Minnesota what the new flag of Minnesota looks like, the Somali flag. Let's see what the new flag of Colorado looks like.
If people keep voting for it, it's going to keep happening.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. I'm all for people getting a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, this is what you need to learn, but will they understand cause and effect?
No.
That's the problem.
No, they're just going to try and move to Texas.
And then they'll be like, wait, where are all the bad things happening?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although Texas, I covered this story on Random Thoughts, RANDUMB Thoughts.com.
A great podcast. Mm-hmm.
The 1 million people taken off the voter rolls since the last election.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. But
Democrats.
The concept which the left is throwing that illegals can't even register. I'm like, what world are you living in?
Yeah, they're also suing the state of Texas for taking these names off, which is ironic. Oh, yeah.
Like, the intriguing thing to me was...
Don't be taking names off that we use every year.
Right. How are we going to vote?
Yeah.
7...
We've almost flipped it. God damn it.
It was a fairly low number for illegal migrants that were registered. It was like 7,000 or 8,000. And then of those,
Yeah.
The only ones they could prove voted were about 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing to me was the way this whole story was covered. There were 468,000 people who did not respond to the request to verify their identity. I'm like, well, who do you think those are?
Mm-hmm.
Even putting that number in, that there's like 8,000 migrants illegally here that were on those lists. It's like, well, what percentage of that
8,000 use their real name.
Right. Because they were told. I mean, you see the man on the street thing where it's like, well, no, I was told I could vote. Somebody at the migrant shelter told me, go do this. And I did, because I didn't know. You expect people that are here legally don't know the laws. You certainly can't expect the people that come here illegally to know the laws. And also, they came here illegally, so they are willing to flout the law.
And but as the future president of America says, just because people came here illegally doesn't mean they're criminals.
Right. But no, technically it does. Because they broke the law to get here. So technically they are criminals. So, but words don't mean anything, which is a good thing for Kamala, because if words meant things, then she would have a lot to answer for.
She'd be laughing.
She still is. They cut that interview down to 18 minutes? I haven't seen any of it, just that it was an edited interview that was like 18 minutes long with her and Timmy Walls. It's like, really? You and I have just done 46 minutes. This chick did 18 minutes.
Yeah. We're more qualified to be president, that's for sure.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Imagine the country.
Oh, I can imagine, all right.
Well, one, people would say you're not even an American citizen because, I mean, look at you. And they'd be like, that last name.
I can stop the Ukrainian war in 1 minute. Trump says it'll take a day. I can do it in 1 minute.
This would be a debate I would like to see.
I'd pick up the phone. It stopped.
You'd be like, well, who are you calling? Vladimir or Vladimir?
Yeah, we're going to nuke him.
Which Vlad are you calling?
No, I'm not calling a Vlad. I'm calling to tell our boys to nuke Ukraine, and we're done.
And then they're like, sorry, Vlad, we took away the apple of your eye. It's now rotten. So there's nothing here for you to take anymore.
See, that proves I'm not pro-Russian, because I would nuke Ukraine.
Right.
In spite of Russia.
Right. Because that's not what Russia would want.
Well, no, because they would prefer to have the territory. But if we can't have it, no one should have it, damn it.
I like that. I like that idea.
Let's put nuke Ukraine. That's the platform I'm running on.
Which party is putting you on the ballot with this?
Well, I am a member of the eugenics party, so maybe they can.
Yeah, that would be a good platform. You already have exposed more of your platform than Kamala Harris has hers.
That's true.
There's that as well. Gene's like, I want to nuke Ukraine. Yes.
Yeah, stop the war. I can guarantee stop the war in less than a minute.
I can stop all wars immediately upon taking office.
Yeah.
Give me that football.
I'll be the most anti-war president ever. We'll just nuke everybody.
That's it. Now, some people may find slight problems with that particular strategy.
How do you mean?
The death and destruction and nuclear fallout. But beyond that, it's a great idea.
I think it is a great idea. It solves a lot of problems all at once.
The other interesting thing to me is some of the coverage that I have seen. And again, the people that are pulling oh my God, you can't give Donald Trump the nukes, are going along the lines of, well, you saw what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And
that's right.
Now the weapons we have are like 100 times worse.
Yeah.
Are they really their nuclear weapons? How much?
Oh, they actually are about 100 times worse.
Wow, that's exponentially crazy then.
Well, I mean, they're significantly larger. That's the biggest difference.
Mainly the thing. It's just a size thing more than a, have they figured out how to?
The area of coverage, yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, I've been to Hiroshima. I was there. And
when you dropped the bombs?
No. But that nuke did not really take up the destruction that it caused was not substantial. The fires that it set actually caused more destruction of property than the nuke itself going off. But then the bigger issue, of course, was radiation, which affected people in a much larger area. But the nuke itself really did fairly minor damage.
And the new ones do way more damage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, no, they will melt entire city centers completely.
And when you nuke Ukraine off the map, how safe is Poland being a neighbor to Ukraine?
Totally safe. Totally. Because there's a border. There's a border that goes right between them. And, we're just talking about Ukraine right now.
Right. You have the nukes are programmed. Mm-hmm. We'll totally just stop right there at the border.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day that Poland
that's what they tell me.
Is like the lowest crime and some of the best economics post-COVID of any nation.
Totally.
I should go and see if I can get some Polish citizenship, man.
You probably can, because I think they're accepting people for their military. I mean, they're looking forward to having more people with Polish heritage join them.
You don't want me in the military.
No.
My eyesight, I might blow up anything, including our stuff.
You might be a Polish joke at that point.
Could be. But it's like, hey, if you get free citizenship, man.
Yeah. Might be worth it.
Polish chicks are hot.
I've never been to Poland myself, but I've known a lot of Polish people over the years. And yeah, the chicks are hot, although I would definitely say the Swedish chicks are hotter.
Yeah, I don't think I have any Swedish heritage, though. I need to do a 24andMe, so that would be...
You've never done the 24andMe?
No.
Or even the 32andMe?
No, that's insane. Okay. Why would I want to know?
For curiosity's sake.
Why would I want to be in a database?
You're already in the database, so knowing the information that's you may be able to get the data without even taking a test.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I should take one and then...
That's like, you're already in here. We'll go ahead and just send you your data.
Let me submit this as a secondary test for Gene, and then just have the results come to you, and then you can read it live on the air.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
That'd be great.
Botswana, 26%. Interesting.
Hey, if I can own some Indian land, that would be good too. If you can make that happen.
Oh yeah. Would you like some Native American in there? We can take care of that.
It's quite possible in this area. I mean, there was a lot, the Chippewa tribe.
Were your people from this area?
I think so. You never know.
Really?
There's a lot of people breeding, so you never know what happens.
There were a lot of people breeding, but like on the outskirts of Chicagoland,
you never know.
Well, I guess you don't.
You never know. I don't. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. But I mean, Poland.
Most people came from the east heading west, but I guess your people have always been there.
We need an exit strategy.
The Poles that arrived in the 1600s went straight to Chicagoland to open up their Polish.
Yeah, you got to make the Polish sausage.
Yeah, the
down on Maxwell Street, baby.
Exactly.
It's a large Polish community here in Chirac.
Well, it used to be, but I think most of them got killed now by the gang violence.
There is a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you don't want to be in the city proper. Hell, you don't really even want to be in
I was always
Cook
surprised
County.
at how few Russian stores there were in that area. It's mostly Polish.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there was always a Russian community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they make the yogurt.
The Polish community, a little bit bigger.
Way bigger.
And we got a lot of...
the Bears.
The Bears. Oh, yeah. And, of course, a huge Hispanic community, which is why we've always had some of the best Mexican food, traditional Mexican
food. For Midwest,
yeah.
Yes. No.
But there are some good traditional Mexican places around here. I mean, there's, of course, a lot of the Americanized taco, burrito, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that is not, I mean, it's good for... in the same way that like White Castles are good for burgers, but they're not a refined art. Now you can get some traditional Mexican food that is just out of this world delightful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
CSB wants us to talk about Telegram jailing the CEO.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that. That's
and
a good reminder.
Juice. What is juice? I mean, is he talking about what kind of juice? Telegram CEO jailing and juice. Is Gene coming out with the juice? Is that it?
No, I don't know what he means by. You might have to send us another boostergram to explain.
The Telegram thing we discussed a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might have been another topic that was covered on Grumpy Old Ben's. featuring Ryan Bemrose and Darren O'Neill, that Telegram, the only thing that was end-to-end encrypted are the one-on-one messages. The minute you do a public room with a bunch of people, none of it's encrypted.
Right.
So if you thought all of that was safe, kids,
no,
you're probably wrong.
Right. Which is also why this whole French bullshit that, there's conspiracies being plotted.
Of course,
using your app. Well, yeah, but if there's more than 2 people in that plotting room, it's not encrypted.
Right.
So go at it.
Now, it could be, I know you could do this on your own server, so it's still not going to be private because somebody would have to then join the server, but you could then see if you were in that room, which is not encrypted, you'd be able to see everything that was going on.
Right. Right. Yeah. Signal's really a much better way to go in that regard.
Yeah, but as Adam Curry spoke yesterday on No Agenda, we know there is government money going into Signal. Does that make it completely unsafe? No, but it raises other questions, which is why I find it
there's
interesting.
Government money going into No Agenda. Does it make that unsafe?
That's only your donations, Gene.
That's at least six people's donations.
At least 6, yeah. It's possible. So like I said, not saying that makes Signal unsafe, but I find it interesting that, and I haven't used the invite you sent me. I forgot about that. The Proton thing.
Oh, yeah. Proton.
Now they're going open source and
they've been open source for a long time,
but they're dropping, the ownership now that they're
what they're doing is they've started a foundation, a nonprofit foundation that will actually be the owner. So they're taking the commercial for-profit company out of it, and the nonprofit foundation will be the owner of all the assets.
Which is interesting. Now, does that really make you feel like it's safer? It doesn't really blow my skirt up because at some point there's still people involved and there could be corrupt people. And this could be another way of being like, well, no, we're the nonprofit open source. So of course we don't have a back door. And I know these things are open so people can look and people can audit. The Telegram thing.
Well, it's a Swiss company.
Which is also puts them under interesting jurisdiction. But the concept of these things, I remember
their address is right next to the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, nothing to see here. They could just walk right on over.
They're neighbors, but I don't think there's any connection there.
No, not at all. That's just a random coincidence.
A quinky dink, as they say.
Exactly. But this is why you need to know what you're using. We covered a story a year or 2 ago on Grumpy Old Bands. We keep mentioning that today. I'm sorry. It's just another plug. And
that used to be a show that I was on?
Yeah, you were on it briefly.
For about a year. Yeah.
Before you went to just2goodoldboys.com and split off there. But there was a underground company that was selling devices and promised that it was like the most secure, and people were paying an extraordinary amount of money to be able to communicate on this backbone, and it turned out it was all a honeypot, which I thought was fantastic.
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, I forget the name of it, but they were selling the devices and they were selling the service for a lot of money. And then it turned out that it was not a legit thing. So people were getting arrested left and right.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is why you need to understand how the communication works. And a lot of criminals are not all that bright. They're just going to take somebody's word like, no, this is safe. Oh, yeah, use Telegram. Nobody will be able to know what you're saying. Use WhatsApp. Use whatever.
Well, the thing that I think is funny is it was pretty obvious that Telegram is no different than the Fediverse. It's a bunch of edge case cranky people bitching about stuff to each other and being interrupted occasionally by a shit poster.
Well, yeah, you need those.
Yeah, neither one of them is particularly interesting to me. But like the local Austin No Agenda meetup folks, they're all over Telegram. Like all of them are on it, and they're posting every freaking day. So it's and
well, then that would be in a non-encrypted forum, correct?
Non-encrypted forum, right? But which, they're fairly MAGA-ish, I guess, and very much no agenda-ish. Although, as is often happens, people that start off being very no agenda start drifting away and finding something to disagree with Adam about, which is pretty typical.
Man,
whether it's Ukraine or whether it's whatever,
no, it's
Israel.
Jesus.
Or
it's a lot of it is Jesus. As a good Catholic boy, I just will never.
People hate Jesus, don't
that. They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh no, you've been compromised. You found God." Like, wow, somebody having a moral compass and embracing that. Wow, what a horrible thing to have.
I think you're looking at it backwards. I think if somebody finds God, then you have to ask the question: is like, was this person lacking a moral compass these last 50 years?
Oh, well, obviously.
Found out about it.
Right.
Well, if I can't trust what they were saying yesterday, why would I trust something they're saying today?
Yep. People come up with all sorts of weird.
It's a reasonable, logical conclusion to come to that anyone who gains religion later in life, you have to reevaluate everything they've done previously in life. I think that's something that,
which is why you back up everything you put out there. The other thing would be the with Adam was, oh no, he stopped smoking pot. Now we can't trust him, man.
Yeah. Well, that one, I mean, there's nothing even to say there. Obviously, you can't trust somebody who doesn't smoke pot.
Well, it's like saying, somebody was an alcoholic for years and he stopped. I can't trust him now.
That seems to be the case. Yeah,
it's very strange.
It is interesting.
Omega Project points out that Threema, also there in Switzerland, which that was one of the.
Yeah, no one's heard of that. No one uses that.
Well, the kid did. The kid that tried to take the shot at Trump, that then cremated his body really quickly. Threema was one of the apps on his phone.
Yes, because his religion required the cremation of his body really quickly.
Right. This is nothing to worry about here. No, we got some peroxide and bleach and we washed down that roof that was too dangerous for anybody to be on.
Zero DNA there to look at. There's nothing there, and we have all the data we'll ever need already.
Right. We took pictures. That was fine. No, just trust the pictures we have. Don't worry that there's AI that can add or remove anything from photographs now that you will never know.
Yeah. And then there being somebody up on the roof and,
but this is why, I made a big deal about this and it's kind of died down, but they were making a huge deal in the media about the fact that the Trump assassin wannabe had 3 different encrypted messaging apps on his phone.
Oh, yes.
This is where they're like, well, no, for the children. Obviously, we can't allow this.
So he must have had Telegram.
Probably. They listed it was very weird because the news article that I found that had the most information listed the origin places of these, which was how I knew one of them was Threema.
Yes.
But they wouldn't mention the app names. Like this is.
Well, you're absolutely right. They said, and he had 3 foreign encrypted apps on his phone, his second phone, not his first phone, but on his second phone, he had 3 encrypted. So that would be the FBI phone. Right, okay. Got it.
Well, so it could be the CIA phone if we're keeping it outside of the country as well.
No, this was not CIA. This was definitely not them.
CIA would have got the job done?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
CIA would have had 4 guys on 4 different roofs all aiming at the same place.
And this concept that it's worrisome that people are able to communicate without having the government spy on them.
How dare they?
Uh-huh.
They can't be communicating.
And the fact that they still don't seem to understand
it's un-American.
A worldwide communication system now. This is also makes things a little bit more difficult. We have encryption that we assume if people know what they're doing, that they're able to communicate securely.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't. And a lot of people will jump on these various things. Is the Mark Cuban one still around? That was called Cyber Dust. That was one of the first ones of these that I remember popping up. Maybe there were other ones first, but he was one of the first ones that came up with a messaging app that was supposed to be completely secure. And then it kind of seemed to disappear.
Yeah. He didn't come up with jack shit.
Well, he had a company that was doing it. I'm sure he didn't personally create this, but he put some money behind it.
Everybody hates him, so nobody used it. Yeah. The first real encrypted app that came out there, which probably surprised some people that don't know its history, is Skype.
Oh, yeah. I've been using Skype for 20 years now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was never, though, supposedly secure or encrypted.
It was both.
Even from the beginning, I don't remember them.
Yeah, that was removed by Microsoft when they acquired them. As all things that go to Microsoft go to die. So did Skype. But if you go back to Skype early days, you will see their press releases about this great new communication app and how it's point-to-point secured.
Was 2016. Mark, here's a article on the Next Web. Mark Cuban showed me how to use his weird chat app. Weird, and now I love it. Yeah, well, it didn't last. Although I think it's still just called Dust now, and it's around.
Mm-hmm.
This was all about ownership. Cyber Dust is built with security in mind. Messages never touch a Cyber Dust server, nor are they stored on a device. They're encrypted end-to-end, then deleted just a few seconds after being read. And now Mark Cuban's all in on all this liberal bullshit. So I'm surprised that he even had a company that was, although this could have been the honeypot. I wouldn't doubt that. This could have been the honeypot of, no, you're safe. No, nothing to worry about here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can do this on your own, too. Remember, I did a whole episode on random thoughts about Tox, which, while not the easiest thing to implement, it was all free of third-party servers and everything else.
Yeah.
So there are ways to set up communication. And if you're doing terrorist-type activity or if you're running a drug empire, you might want to hire an IT guy. Just saying, to establish the pipeline for your communication.
Yeah. Well, you know what Skype stands for?
No, I do not.
Sky peer-to-peer.
Sky peer-to-peer? Mm-hmm. Why Sky?
That because it's...
Does it work in the sky?
Yeah, because it's direct bypassing everything. It's going through the sky.
Goes through the sky. I don't think it really does, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Skype was actually a decent product until Microsoft took it over.
Yes. Well, eBay didn't really do it much justice either, but originally it was.
Was it eBay the one that originally owned it?
Yeah, eBay sold it to Microsoft. eBay originally bought them.
And who owned it before eBay?
I think that was just the company that created it.
The developers, right?
Yeah. It was first came out in the Polish market.
Well, that's how you know it's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
71 people listening on the stream right now. That's a pretty good day for Unrelenting on a Friday morning.
And it was a Luxembourg-based company.
CSB said Kura again with a 1033.
I thought we're not mentioning small things there.
It doesn't go pew-pew, but every now and then when I look over and there's a lull, and it might encourage more people to send in fundage.
Yeah. And then, of course, Microsoft moved it from peer-to-peer to server-based using their servers.
And Microsoft totally isn't listening to all of your conversations.
Well, not mine. I don't have Microsoft devices here.
That's why you don't have Skype. But this is the intriguing thing that...
No, I actually uninstall... Skype comes pre-installed on every PC.
Well, of course, it's Microsoft.
One of the apps I install as soon as I get a PC is Skype.
A lot of people don't know about the mysterious building. What's it in? Is it in New York or DC that AT&T has had for years? That back, when the old-fashioned phone system, this is where all the calls were routed through, and this is where they would...
in Virginia. There's one in Virginia, and there's one in San Francisco that are well-known AT&T buildings.
And all of the things that you were doing on the phone were being monitored.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And we saw this completely with the Matthew Perry story. And I don't know if we talked about that last week or not. I don't remember when that was.
Dude, you could hear the recorder going on. They were doing a very poor job monitoring.
Well, back in the day, I mean, you could, right, because when another line clicked in.
You'd have a voltage drop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this wasn't the high technology that we have today. Yeah. But with the Matthew Perry story, a lot of the evidence was because they were communicating openly without trying to hide what they were doing via text message. Like, text messages are safe. They obviously did not listen to any of my podcasts.
No.
Because text messages are not safe. They are stored on the phone company's servers. So if you think that you get a text that's like, hey, I'm going to kill your wife, and you delete it like it's gone. No, it's not.
Yep.
It exists. This is why you don't want to use.
You didn't even get a delete function on text messages until years after text messages came out.
Yeah. Well, nobody thought anybody would ever send thousands of messages a day like they do now.
Oh, yeah. That was horrible.
There are some people that are quite addicted. But use a third-party service that at least pretends to protect your privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that answer is. I've looked at them all. You're the one that got me on Signal, but Adam Curry's like, the Signal thing, Gene's no good. It's Russian disinformation.
Oh, please.
There's government money going in. It's still the best that I have.
It's an Israeli company. Of course, there's government money going in.
It is the best that I've found so far, although I've never tried Threema or any of those. But there are so many that are so similar to each other. Mm-hmm. You know, some of them have to be honeypots. You don't know which one, and you never know which one. So if you pick wrong, maybe there's 20 different companies that do it. Well, if you pick the wrong one, then you're screwed. Which is why you almost want to encrypt your messages before sending them over the encrypted connection.
So I did a back years and years and years ago. So this was would have been late 90s. I did an encryption app that actually used compressed images to send encrypted data through a website.
Oh, right, because you can embed cryptography, or what was it? It wasn't called cryptography. What's the name for it? It's steganography or something.
Steganography. Yeah, and it was so you essentially would communicate with the website, which would take your message and then encode it in a JPEG, and then without really making it look any different. And then the JPEG would be downloaded by the other message, and then using the
it would decode it.
Yeah, using the I was going to say you have to have a shared phrase. That's the way that I did it back in the day, and it would then suck it out of that image. And then if you wanted to reply back, then you would send a different kind of query to the website with your encoded message, and then they would stick it in there. So it was a way to have sort of I guess a drop location for encrypted messages,
right out in the open that nobody was
on a publicly accessible website. So, but I just did it as a proof of concept. I had a security company that I owned back then, so it was just a fun little thing built to demonstrate that type of capability.
Right. Well, that you never know. That hot Instagram girl, 1 every 10 messages might be sending a message somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Exactly.
This is why things are hidden even without realizing it. When I did when the Stable Diffusion first kind of popped up, I created an image that was based upon like 3 different models, put them together, female models, not models of Stable Diffusion. and posted, hey, can you tell me, who do you see? Which people would you say create? Who is the combination? Who did they come from? And somebody answered exactly.
Really?
And then showed me that in the PNG, there are special readers that will show you the prompt, that the prompt is saved.
Oh, that's bullshit.
In the PNG. So unless you go through and wipe that out. So if you create something with the AI and you don't know that the system is embedding that.
Yeah.
The exact prompt you used is there and it does not show up. I've got a lot of different graphics programs and they don't show up. You need the special reader for the PNGs to let you know what that says. But for the people in the know.
This kind of sounds like the EXIF data in JPEGs.
Correct.
Where you can have all kinds of data in there, the location, the time, a comment, whatever you want stuck in there. And then unless you're in an app that reads all that data and lets you edit it, most people will never know it's there. And that's, a lot of people have gotten to jail because there was a photo that had EXIF data in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's danger. I harped on this a lot, and I think it's gotten a little bit better. But there were, and I think Instagram was pretty early on with stripping out that data, so kudos to them. But there were other sites where it did not. And it was not hard to go through a search and get the GPS location. So again, you're just a hot babe posting photographs and you think you're safe. You're taking a selfie in your bedroom. Well, guess what? If your GPS is on and you don't strip that shit out, anybody that gets that picture will now have your physical location.
Yep. Exactly.
But it's also a great place, I guess, if you want to add encrypted data, that would be easy enough to. You could just use PGP, whatever you want, create some message, encrypt it, and then just put it on, put the encrypted text into the image.
Yeah.
And that may get beyond some scanners looking for things. Or people wouldn't really notice because you're not looking for it there.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot you can do with images.
This is why it's kind of disconcerting that you can't even trust the images that you see now. And this is so far down the rabbit hole at this point that the AI generators for humans, especially if they're targeting, if somebody is targeting you and takes the time to make the LoRa for the flux that would look like you, that's going to create photographs that 99.9% of the world will believe. And even the ones that don't believe it won't be able to prove it's not. All of this concept that, oh, you're going to be able to prove it's AI, man. There's going to be ways. Like, there's no way. This concept, one of the latest ones was, and I was kind of disappointed in your boy Elon because he was like, oh, yeah, California law, AI, I'm with you. And one of the things that was talked about was the AI companies having to somehow tag the content as AI. It's like, well, people are going to figure out a way around that anyway. So this is bullshit.
Yeah, by just inserting the prompt.
And anybody
pretty good tag.
Because you think anybody, if you create a, commercial that sounds like Kamala Harris is a bumbling idiot. I mean, granted, you don't need AI for that.
No.
But if you do that, can you imagine if the audio plays back with, what you wanted, but also playing, this is AI. This is AI. I mean, how are you going to tag audio that is, it doesn't make any sense. The photographs, the same things. The concept that you're going to be able to tell. It's the funniest thing is all of the things that are popping up, including within the ChatGPT. Oh, put your text in, put your AI created text in, and we will make it undetectable as AI. It's like, so, but wait, it still is AI. With the AIs pretending it can make it non-AI. And the interesting thing when you generate enough text with AI, and I've tried this a bit, there are things that will repeat. There are weird phrases that it seems to want to use. But with that said, there are ways to, and I haven't gone through and done it, but for people that are, if you're a professional writer, there's a way, just like the Laura's for the images, which can make it create Scarlett Johansson's face each and every time. You can do the same thing with the large language models, say, which you've written books. You can train it by importing your book. There's another thing that you can let the AI give you 20 sentences, and then you rewrite those sentences with the same meaning, but in your own words. And then it learns.
Yeah.
And it now spits out prose as if you wrote it.
Yeah, I think it'll take a little more than that. But
it's getting there is the point.
It is getting there. That there are AI models that are built with specific stuff. I know that there are, I'm sure multiple people are doing it, but I've heard of one that is trained exclusively on the Bible. So you can talk to it, but its knowledge base is confined to the Old and New Testaments,
which is intriguing. There are a bunch of these things, and when they say you can talk to it, that means you can ask questions, and it makes sense because I've written a little bit of fiction, just dabble around. And there are times you get to a point where you're like, oh shit, what did I say his last name was, or what did I say his, job, whatever it was. And now you could just type that question into the AI. Hey, what was, you forgot. What was this character's last name? And it'll just spit it right out. You don't have to go do a search and try to find where it was. For people writing like Lord of the Rings style length.
Oh yeah. So there's a whole set of jobs that are now gone.
Yeah.
Because there used to be people that did that.
Right. They had to look up the lore. Like, would this make sense? Oh my God, is this going to be the continuity? Are we doing this right?
And it's not the author usually that knows that shit.
No. Oh no. The author at this point on a lot of these. I would love to be so successful that I could be James Patterson, which sounds like what he does now is give an outline, like a 20-page treatment, and then says, somebody else write this. And then he has his name on the book, and theirs is there in the really little letters. And he gets like 80% of the money.
Tom Clancy started doing that many years ago when he became more in started doing speaking gigs more than he was writing. He started collaborating with other authors that were fans of his who would write the actual book, and then it would be Tom Clancy's blah, 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 blah.
Well, this was the original.
Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, this was the original AI, which is, you and I both have consumed, I would guess, every word that Richard Marchenko put down on paper and released.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So this is the original AI. We've learned the style. You can then write in that style because you know the style.
Well, and Marchenko wrote one book. All the rest of it
over again.
Well, no. I mean, for real, because all his other books were actually written by the other dude.
With Weissman and there was another guy he went to after Weissman who wasn't quite as good.
And because I think Weissman helped him, didn't write, but helped him with editing his first book. And then he's like, hey, we should write a book together. I'll tell my stories and you write it.
Right. Which you can, and again, this is kind of like oddly what the AI is doing now, where you could give it, well, here I'm telling a story. Well, the AI will then help you by what about this? With this, you're leaving an empty spot here. What goes here? That's, to be able to take what you have and edit it down. Like the Kamala Harris interview, it was probably 8 hours long. They released 18 minutes. You got to know how editing works.
The best 18 damn minutes of the 8-hour interview. Yeah.
Got to be very concise.
Yeah.
But that is how, things used to be. But now it's great because if you have the large language model and you have, like you said, with the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
You can ask very specific questions about the Bible, like, well, what did the Bible say about polygamy? And if it was mentioned, it's going to spit that answer out and say, well, here it said this, here it said this. It was mentioned here, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's an interesting way for people to interact with things because you're able to have it answer questions based upon text. And I think it does this fairly well. I don't think there's really a problem with the AIs hallucinating. Again, if you put in a novel or a series of novels and then you ask a question about the character, it'll probably get that right. Whereas Adam Curry on No Agenda, the best damn podcast in the universe, mentioned yesterday, and I tried it with ChatGPT, haven't tried it with any of the other ones, a simple question to have some fun with. How many R's are in strawberry? They all answer 2. Where he said Elon fixed the grok, though, so I think that is that has been updated.
Yes, that's mostly what Elon does. He sits there and programs grok.
He's very, to make sure it spells strawberry correctly. But there are people, man. Elon knows. He's like, you can't have that wrong. But it's interesting that the AIs get some very simple things wrong. You think it would just look up the word and you spell it correctly. So that's the intriguing part. It's not like you misspell it with 1 R and say, how many R's in strawberry without, only 1 R at the end. No, you spell it correctly and it still can't get that right. You think that would be the easiest code in the world, which is take the word, look at the letters, and count them. If it can't do that right, then yes, there have to be some questions about what it does wrong. And the other thing I still run into, except Claude, Anthropic's Claude 3.5, and again, maybe not all the time, but when I put in our transcript and got the chapters, ChatGPT not good with the time aspect at all, which is interesting to me. Matching up when the time code was that the section started way off. And most of the time it'll try to make the podcast way longer or way shorter than it is. And it's very strange because you would think that would be and it is a mathematical issue, but I don't know how it matches up those timestamps with the text so it can create a chapter that said, Darren and Gene talked about Comic Strip Bloggers Boost, but it's like 20 minutes after the show ends instead of where it should be in the show.
Right.
It's very weird because I would think that would be the easiest part. It can create chapters that make sense for the sections that were in the show that make sense, but putting the correct time on it is a problem for a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned previously, I've kind of switched to just using Buzzsprout for everything.
Until that's all wrong, and then you're like, now what?
And it's right enough.
What?
And it does a very good job.
That is podcasting right there. It's right enough.
It's right enough. It does a very good job with the description. It also suggests titles, even though we don't really change titles. We stick with the same title, different number every time, but it'll come up with a title that's relevant to the podcast and is catchy, which would a lot of people like to keep changing titles of their episodes. But it does everything automatically. The only thing that I complain about that they haven't fixed for it is it just says speaker 1 and speaker 2.
Right,
instead of asking me, what is the name of speaker 1? What is the name of speaker 2? So it's smart enough to separate them out, even though I'm uploading a file with just one channel, right? It's combining both of them together. So it's not relying on me for the separation of the channels for speakers. It's figuring it out based on the way that people speak, different, frequencies, different, whatever it is that it's checking out. I'm assuming mostly on just the frequency of the speech, but
yeah, it is weird how that works.
Yeah, but it seems to work pretty well. But I don't understand why it didn't go the extra step to then just say who's speaker 1 and which is what Descript, which is what I used to use, but I got gradually more disappointed in because they've been focusing on nothing but video features for the last year and a half. and I wasn't doing video with it. I was just doing audio, and audio just kind of got pushed to the back.
Well, yeah, and they were launched as a audio company more than anything else.
Oh, they were for podcasts specifically.
So the concept, like, oh, wait, no, we need to, obviously they figure the videos are a much bigger market.
Yeah, which I'm sure they are. So I don't blame them. I'm just no longer using them is all.
CSB says, finally AI talk. Claude Van Damme. No, Claude from Anthropic. 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them out there now. It is getting hard to keep. A lot of people just think, oh, there's ChatGPT and that's it. It's like there is a metric shit ton of different models out there. I will recommend people, especially if you got the crypto, go to openrouter.ai, I think it is. And they let you pay as you use it, and you can use any of these large language models directly from their interface. So you don't need to go make
so they do have basically a video card in the cloud service.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. And how much do they charge?
It is depending upon the particular LLM and what they charge, but it can be anywhere depending on the query. Yeah, I put in a maybe 100,000 word bit of text and was asking questions about it. Those, because you were including so much text, it was about 17 to 20 cents per query.
Okay.
But that was for using the latest and greatest of the models. Now, if you use other models, some of them are still free, no matter what you throw at them. So it all depends really what you want to put into there and how much you need to use resources wise. But the first time I put $10 in, I think it took me over 6 months to use the $10. So it's not like it's not like it's $20 a month like ChatGPT is. Although I like the ChatGPT because it lets me create the DALL-E images. Those are nice. And there's some interesting things you can do there. But that's all because CSP got me hooked, man. He got me on the ChatGPT, man.
Okay.
He got me hooked.
I think you
learned it from him.
I think you learned it before him.
Probably, but I never paid for it.
Right. Yeah. He probably got you to open the wallet more.
He did. He's like, here, I'll pay you to do this for 6 months. And then I never stopped after he stopped using it. I never stopped.
Did he stop paying?
Well, yeah, I never stopped paying for it.
No, you never. But did he stop paying for it?
Yeah, he did. He was trying to do a deal with Ryan Bemrose, and then that fell through.
Well, he should have known better.
I know, right? Ryan's got better things to worry about, CSB. That's what I told him.
Even if he doesn't, he still won't do stuff.
He didn't know Ryan likes to get paid in sushi.
That's right. That's exactly right.
What the hell was that?
I have no idea. What are you talking about?
Somebody started playing a sonata or something.
I don't know about that.
Geez, like, what's going on, man? Well, here, the more important news we forgot to ask you about.
Yeah.
Has the snake turned on the water again anytime?
No. Snake's been good. No more water turnage.
Which I think is hilarious. The snake waits for you to leave the house and then like, turning on the TV, turning on the shower.
Yeah.
Gene's like, why is my electric bill and my water bill so high?
The first thought was definitely like, when the snake figured out how to open doors, I was like, they don't really say these are intelligent animals.
Right.
But clearly somebody's been pretending not to be intelligent.
Yeah, there's something going on. They have problem-solving abilities.
Well, they figured out how to do things that involve rotating things without using hands.
In which they're pretty good at because they can wrap their tail around it and be like, this is no problem.
No, not at all. This is easy. So, yeah, it does mean that, I'm hoping he hasn't figured out how to open windows, because that would be not good for him if he decides to go on a little journey outside and walk around there for a little bit.
NetNet says, I will buy Ryan Memrose lunch when I get that Sir Gene seed money for my startup. Let them eat sushi. Yeah, it's a good startup in Detroit. I bet you there's a lot of call for sushi eating in Detroit.
You think?
Maybe we're missing a golden opportunity here.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot of interest in going to Chicago, but I have even less in going to Detroit.
Hey, Chicago, you could still go downtown. It's just, 35 minutes down the expressway. Boom, you're there.
The last time I was in Chicago, you probably remember, I ended up.
We pistol whipped that hooker out on South Wacker?
The other time.
Oh, okay.
When I was flying through and my flight took off before my flight to there landed. Like the flight outgoing was early to leave and the flight incoming was late in arriving.
Did you explain to them how connecting flights work?
I tried to, and they're like, hey, this is Chicago. I was like, oh, you're right. So I ended up having to stay overnight to take the next morning flight in. And so you hooked me up with Giordano's, which was pretty good, even though you say it's not certainly the best in Chicago.
I always liked Giordano's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm more of a thin crust guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they are vastly different. We hadn't been to a place.
Yeah, well, one of them is like the meat stew of pizza, and the other one's a cracker. So yes,
right. This is
different.
True. We went into a Chesden's Pizzeria, which used to be down on Archer Avenue, which was on the way home from the White Sox games to where I lived. Mm-hmm. And then they moved out into the suburbs. We get there rarely. It had been a while because they're not the closest pizza place. So, I mean, for convenience, people don't normally go out of their way an extra even 15 minutes to get pizza because, well, the other ones are pretty good and they're closer. But we went there the other day after I had my 2D echo. And which is what you want to do. You want to get the heart scans done, and then you want to go load up on sausage.
On pizza. Yeah.
It's the only way to go.
Because you're safe. You've got that 24-hour window where you're safe, do anything you want with no consequences.
Right.
That's how it works.
If my heart was going to blow up, this chick would have seen it and warned me about it.
Exactly.
So
everything's
good. I had forgotten how sweet their sauce was. And that's the drastically different thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. That's the Chicago pizza. People say, it's a thin crust, but you could go to 10 different places and they have such different ways of going about it. And then even more so probably with the deep dish stuff.
And then you have all these different cities that are not main tier pizza cities that seem to have their own, like everybody knows about Chicago style deep dish and New York, flat oversized pieces. And then you've got like the Philadelphia style pizza or the Detroit style pizza. And it's a slightly different type of pizza, but mostly the only people that really know about it are people that live in that area.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of places that are just local legends. And there's places that I've heard about in the Chicago area that I've never gone to, but they're always making these top lists. As the most unique, the best.
I think the problem with deep dish these days is most people can't afford it.
Well, this is true too. And one piece is like 4 pounds. So it's depending on how much you really want to eat.
Nah, people don't have a problem eating. They have a problem affording this stuff because even back in the day, like when the normal pizza was $10, the deep dish was like 18 to 22. And now deep dish is like 45 to 60.
Right.
Well, who wants to spend $60 on a single pizza? Now, when you realize that single pizza weighs 7 pounds.
Right. It's a lot of pizza.
I mean, okay, there's a lot of cheese and meat and sauce and another layer of cheese and another layer of meat, but it is not affordable for a lot of people. Like that's the kind of, they would go grocery shopping for a few days on that amount of money.
Oh yeah. Well, the groceries in the store are the same problem. So there's that.
Well, yeah, but there's it's a question. I think a lot of it is just a question of what you're willing to spend on a combination of things at the grocery store. You're not willing to spend on a single food.
That would make sense. And
right?
I know
if you buy all the ingredients to make the pizza, you probably would spend that much.
there is a lot of profit in pizza. At least there should be. If your pizza place is not making big bucks,
well,
they're doing something
probably
wrong.
More in thin style pizzas.
Even the thick, I mean, it's a lot of dough, which isn't really expensive. I mean, there's
Not
more.
A whole lot of dough, dude. If you take all the ingredients and scrape them out of the dough in the deep dish pizza is maybe like 1.5 times what it is in the thin crust.
I'll find the link. 2 guys just did this in Chicago.
Okay.
They went to like 6 places, had deep dish. All in one day.
Everything off.
They gave you their ratings and showed you how thick it was, what was in there.
Okay.
But I was like, oh my God, 6 of these in a day. By the time you're to the 6th place, you have to want to shoot yourself in the head, man, because slices of deep dish are very, very, they're more like a brick more than anything else.
I don't know about a brick, but they're certainly, they're heavyweight. You feel it.
CSB is still talking to us, and he's the only one, so I thank him. Another 1033. He's like, you two are great fluffers from Podcasting 2.0 podcast. Good work, albeit too much Chicago talk today, so we have some more Chicago talk.
Yeah, way too much Chicago talk. CSB's not even coming to Chicago for the meetup.
Oh, so wait, CSB, are you going to come into Chicago for the meetup next year? Maybe July, August, sometime in that range. That'd be a great time to come to Chicago. Come for the big
you want to do it during the Taste of Chicago?
Well, no, that would be mid-July.
That'd be a good reason to do it.
The Taste of Chicago, I think, has been moved these last couple of years, and I saw the NASCAR schedule again is here July 6th.
Where? To Indiana?
Well, no, the same place, but they moved it a few weeks later because they're like, NASCAR's here taking over the streets, so we got to do it somewhere else.
Oh. Is NASCAR a yearly thing, though?
This is like its 3rd year. I was surprised. I thought they had a 2-year contract, so I thought it would be 2 years and done. But obviously, they're working another deal with Chirac because they're coming back next year in July.
Yeah, I still think the Death Race 2000 concept makes the most sense.
I'm still surprised there have been no bullet holes in the cars after the.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that would seem to me to be hard to believe that it hasn't happened. I mean, the last one, the television hid the Palestinian protesters that were trying to get on the track, but otherwise, there's always something fun.
You mean Hamas? You feel free to call them Hamas.
Right. No, there's fine people on both sides, said Joe Biden. Wasn't that what he said?
I think so.
It's amazing that he actually said that.
It would be ironic if he wasn't insane.
Yeah. That there were people, and he didn't say that exactly, just to be clear. He said, those protesters have a point. Like, what do you mean? He did say that. No, there's an actual blip of video from him saying fine people. I don't think he said on both sides, but he said they're fine people. And it's like, oh my God, you got to be shitting me. This is literally what you guys have been criticizing Trump for saying. Of course. And I saw Trump on the show, on Ryan's show, and Trump needs to
Ron Benbros had Trump. He's on everybody's shows now. This is ridiculous. I mean, he's on way too many podcasts.
I know. I'm like, we could probably get him.
I mean, do we even want him at this point? He's been on everything.
You could just cut it up.
It's kind of worn out.
Other show, right? At least where Kamala is nowhere, Trump is everywhere, which is an interesting way to go about it.
Did you see him putting the wreath on the soldiers' memorial there? Yeah.
And he was there because the news coverage bullshit yet again. That the story seems to be that they had an approval to bring a private photographer with them. Now, you can't do political stuff there, but I don't see this as being political. He was invited there by the families who had service members die in Afghanistan with that debacle.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to commemorate that. Now, if he would have gone and used those images in ads, well, then he's a dick.
No, he's not.
Really, you don't. If that is the rule, that you don't politicize what goes on there, And both sides.
What the hell does that mean? Politicize it? Did it happen or did it not?
Well, if you use
was he there or was he not there?
If you use it in an ad, then I would say it is
anything
politicized.
That is in the news, you can use in an ad.
Well, if it's in the news, that then becomes an interesting concept because you're like, I'm just taking a taking a bit of the news. Did you see the Trump derangement syndrome video? That that was beautiful. That was funny, man. Try independence. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Like so true.
It isn't for everybody. That's
so true. It's like you got to be able to think for yourself. That way you can choose what kind of deep dish pizza you want, CSB.
But they all do think they think for. That's the thing, though, is that this is not a convincing argument because they all think they independently came to the conclusion that anybody but Trump.
Morning Joe told me, man. Morning Joe said him and makeup.
No, no orange hair man. Orange hair man bad. They decided that. They were never told that. They decided that on their own accord.
So CSB, are you coming to Chicago and what kind of pizza do you like? Deep dish or thin crust? These are questions people want to know.
Or pierogi pizza.
Oh, dude, we got a lot of pierogi here. I've never tried making a pierogi pizza, but it would kind of seem like backward because the pierogi would be like the base of the pizza. So, I mean, I guess you could make it would depend on the sauce.
Can you make a pizza-sized pierogi?
Right. And then you got the dough on the bottom, kind of like a pierogi that would be folded over. But then you just throw in, what do you like? Some sausage and sauerkraut? Are you more of a bacon? Are you more of a potato guy when you're pierogi? You could put any of those in and have a nice little, just throw a little bit of sauce on. That would be like a pierogi inspired pizza anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the intriguing part about Chesden's Pizzeria was that it was started after World War, I'm guessing II. I don't think it was World War I, but it was started after one of the world wars by two Polish brothers who opened up a pizza place.
What? You're kidding. Polish brothers.
It was like, that was their names too, like Charles and Dan. And so it was Chesden's Pizza. But there were a couple of Polish guys who started this place and it's been around for decades and is
anybody that doesn't know what a pierogi is, it's basically a pot sticker.
Big, nice pot sticker though. I mean, it's Polish. You can put them in
Polish pot sticker.
You can put them in some boiling water, but usually after you do that, you want to put them in some butter to fry them up a little bit.
Yeah.
With some onion. And they can come stuffed again with, I've had mashed potatoes in them. I've had bacon in them. You could have all kinds of stuff.
Onions, potatoes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A good pierogi is hard to beat.
Yeah.
Now, CSB would probably come in for PierogiCon 2025. And we could just
when last time I was at Taste of Chicago, there was a lot of pierogies to be eaten.
He says, I'm never coming to Chicago.
Okay. See that there you go. This event ain't happening. That is a done deal.
If CSB
the
can't
number
be there,
one,
wow.
the number one SAT contributor in the world says he's not coming.
No, I don't think he is. I think it's our buddy Dale Jr., who likes to stream sats of the shows. Does he? I don't know if he listens to Unreal. I think he listens to Unrelenting.
I don't think so.
He said the other day he noticed that his Fountain app, he has streamed over 1 million Satoshis now, which is like $600. So that's
$600. Yeah, it's pretty much the amount that I'm losing with this stupid freaking voltage situation. Is 1 million Satoshis. Yeah.
Yeah. That hasn't gotten cleared up.
I basically just threw my arms up and said, okay, I'm just done. I'm done paying for the service. I'm just going to write this off. Shit's not happening.
Have you
Adam volunteered to help? I'm like, dude, it's not worth the time. We've tried everything. It's like and then the guy from Voltage is like, well, why don't we get on the phone call? So it's the first time he's actually willing to talk, because before that it's all through email. And he's like, yeah, I'm just super curious myself. What's going on? I want to make sure that we looked at absolutely everything, because this has never happened to us before. Yeah.
Well, that's unbelievable, since you did not turn on
I did not do jack shit. That account was not logged into for literally years. And then they didn't offer any. If they would have offered a service to automatically create channels, I would have used it right off the get-go. But they didn't. So I had to do it manually. I had to beg other people to get channels opened up to me. So it was it was a bizarre situation, and the fact that the channels are just stuck. Adam suggested if the amounts that the channels were offering for payments to open them were too low, then they could be sitting there and waiting and nobody actually accepts them. But from this guy looking at them, he says, no, the amounts are in line with all the other channels that we've opened up, and they open up right away. So they don't know what the hell's going on. But I think we're supposed to have a phone call next week on like Monday or something. I don't know.
That'll be good content.
Maybe.
Monday's Labor Day, so I don't know if
that's probably not Monday then. That's probably... Wait, is Labor Day the 1st or the... what? No.
It's Monday, whatever.
Well,
is that the
what
first?
Is Monday? I don't even know.
Monday.
The 30th. So is it the 2nd?
The 1st is... the 2nd is Monday. So maybe Labor Day 2nd, Monday.
So Saturday's the... Oh, it's... I thought September only had 30 days. I guess it's got 31.
No, 31, baby.
Or sorry, August, rather.
Right. Well, doesn't matter what month we're in. It's right enough. We've learned
September
that
has 30. August has 31, apparently. When they pull that switch on us.
Have you tried to see if the snake can get your sats back? He seems resourceful.
He is resourceful. That's a good point. Maybe he can figure out how to turn something and then just undo the sat thing.
If it would mean extra rabbit in his cage, you'd be like, give me that.
Yeah. He likes the rabbit.
It's a good way to eat. Good eating, man. Little Hassenpfeffer.
That's right. Little Hassenpfeffer.
People are like, what's that? If they never watched Bugs Bunny, can have some Hassenpfeffer for dinner. Yes, indeed. But I hope you get your food ordered. I mean, now I kind of want a nice big deep dish pizza. They take like an hour, though. That's the other problem.
Oh, no, they take 2 hours.
If they're done right, yeah.
I mean, if it's an hour, if they have them in the fridge ready to go and they can just pop it in the oven, it's an hour in the oven. But if they have to make it from scratch, it's longer than that. And I remember I actually ordered my pizza on the phone to be at the restaurant an hour and a half later.
Which works.
Yeah. But then I was able to take a couple with me.
You brought them home in frozen pizzas?
I brought I was flying out to see my dad. So I brought him some frozen pizzas.
There are a couple of beef places that I'm sure they still do it, but the Portillo's was it still is big, but their quality has gone to crap. I'll fight anybody that tells me Portillo's is still the best beef in Chicago. It's not. But back in the day when they were great, they were doing big business with sending out the kits with the frozen beef, with the buns and all of the fixins. Because there's nothing quite like a good Italian beef either. It all started right here in Chirac, where you were taking all good food, all street food is kind of like, well, how do we take really bad ingredients and make them edible?
Frying them, usually.
Yeah, frying works. Frying works wonders.
Yeah, that's it's the thing that is the most tasty is fat. So
why donuts are so good.
I hate donuts.
What, really?
Yeah, never liked them.
All donuts?
Oh, pretty much.
I mean, just the cake type, or do you not ever have like a good Dunkin' donut? Or
I just don't know. I've never liked donuts, which is interesting because I like bagels.
I mean, you look like you like donuts.
I may look like I like donuts, but I really don't. And when I remember I used to have to buy donuts because that was like a rotating thing, I would still never eat the damn things.
And a bagel looks like a donut.
Yeah, just better.
A little more dense.
Very different taste, very different style of bread.
Yeah. But then you have to have the cream cheese and then maybe a little bit of, there's such a variety with the bagels. I mean, I know you like the lox.
There's only one bagel, which is a poppy bagel with lox.
Well, you can get a plain bagel.
No.
You can get a chocolate chip bagel.
Definitely not.
You get a blueberry bagel. You can get a garlic bagel. The garlic bagels.
Yeah, there are garlic bagels. Those exist.
Little garlic Asiago. I mean, that's
That's a totally fake bagel.
Well, they're all fake.
No, but the only real bagels are sesame seed, garlic, and poppy seed.
And beyond that, then so if I go
beyond that, it's just bullshit fake American ones.
Where's your favorite bagel? Where's your bagel guy shipped from? Is it New York?
I do have a bagel guy in New York that ships them to me. Yes.
And those are the only types that they'll send.
You can't. I mean, bagels just suck everywhere else, man. If you don't buy your bagels in New York, you're not eating real bagels.
You got to have them like overnighted because otherwise the quality goes down, the freshness.
Yep.
But there's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, you want to know the name of the place? I can look it up. I don't remember it off the top of my head, so I just got to.
We don't remember your bagel guy off the top of your head.
No, I got to get in my.
It's not like the good old Carnegie Deli back in the day, man. Their cheesecakes are good.
Oh, they used to be. Well, more importantly, they were big.
Yeah, they're huge. We ordered one. Well, they were smart because they do mail order, but of course to ship a cheesecake is an ordeal. But what they do is they work with some of the local grocers now. So around the holidays, usually you can get one locally and it's cheaper and you don't have to have it shipped, but it was still like $70 for the cheesecake. So
my bagels come from, get this.
Yeah.
NewYorkBagels.com.
Oh, did you didn't remember this?
I know, right?
Gene, get the B12.
Yeah, let me pop one of those in right now.
I had one. I saw one because I've never taken a B12 until yesterday.
Oh, really? Well, we could tell.
And I know, right? And I opened up the medicine cabinet, and it was just sitting there. I guess the wife had bought them a while ago. And
no, they've been there a long time. You just never noticed.
Exactly. They're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I've never had these. And it's like, oh, put one under your tongue and let it dissolve. And I'm like, okay. So I did it.
Egg bagels. That's another real bagel.
And all of a sudden, man, now my brain is firing on all cylinders. What kind of bagel?
All the cylinders.
Yeah, all of them.
Right.
Which other bagel is there?
Egg bagels are a traditional bagel.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
NewYorkBagels.com. Where's your bagel?
It's NewYorkBagels.com.
Okay. Yeah. Do not. I just got the fucking what looked like a tornado kind of thing. Yeah, you do not type in NewYorkBagel.com or was that bagels? Which one did I type in?
No, bagels is the one you want.
No, bagels is the bad one. That's New York Bagels just went nuts.
No, I didn't. You mistyped it then.
Okay, so one word, obviously. New York.
Oh, New Yorker bagels.
Oh, see, you fucking asshole. Do not go to NewYorkBagels. Well, send anybody else to
New Yorker bagels.
Yeah, just New York Bagels takes you to a whole thing that you.
I got to check that out now.
It's one of these things. Somebody's going to fall for it. I tell you. Like, oh no. Ooh, they do donuts too. That's weird.
Do they?
Yeah, like the first thing when I go to box sets, it's like it's because it looks like unless they're covering, they're like chocolate. They can't be doing. Bagels covered, or do they do bagels covered in chocolate?
I've never seen such a thing.
Because that looks like...
that is a hilarious sight. You're right. That is like a tornado.
It's trying to make you think that...
So it's, and I'm going to describe it here. It's doing a faux dozen different pop-up windows, the top of which, they're all Microsoft windows, top of which says IP address, city, Austin, ISP. It says ASA access to this system is blocked for security reasons. Please call Windows support. And then they have a number that goes to India.
Right.
To scam you. And it says allow or deny. And anything you click will go to the same place that says you have to call now. Security warning. Your PC has been compromised. Call this number now. Get your money out.
Oh, sir, give me your.
Oh, this is even better. It makes noise.
Oh, no.
It makes noise, man. This is great.
Sir, we need your bank account number, sir. Or you'll never get bagels if you don't give me your social security number.
What do we do?
Please
X. Close the tab.
Your computer.
Please do not attempt to shut down your computer because of identity theft.
Oh, who is falling for this? Who is falling for this?
This is hilarious. Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's the pumpernickel bagel that looks like it's chocolate covered.
Oh, pumpernickel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very brown. It's true.
That's when I first saw them. Like a quick look, I'm like, it looks like a chocolate covered donut. Now I have to order some bagels.
Yeah. So don't go to NewYorkBagel.com. It'll make noise.
Yeah, you do. Well, I mean, although if you have somebody you don't like, tell them go to New York Bagel. They have the best stuff. And then when they freak out, tell them, you just typed it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,